now connected with Prayagraj. He's from Delhi originally.
You would be amazed to know he did seva in temple construction also.
Wow, sorry, temple construction.
Picking up bricks, carrying them.
Yeah, bro, it's really inspiring to see that he's still feeling connected even though he's living at his own home. In his family. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's begin.
Yes.
So, Vishal bro, can you just
Yeah,
share the
bro. It's really inspiring to see that.
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. I just 1 minute.
We have Jesh Prabhu joining us too. We have Jesh Prabhu joined BYS recently.
श्री गुरुवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सिद्धगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेव श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान् कृतांश्च ॐ कृष्णपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी कृष्ण कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिशे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता कांतानस्तुते कांचन गौरांगी वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः प्रभु श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो वासुदेवाय। Shalbu, can you remind me the verse number?
Yes, bro. We were doing 1-3. We need to continue from 10, bro. Verse 10.
1, 3, 10. Okay. Oh, great. Yeah, I do remember now. We had discussed some of the avatars of the Lord. Now we are going on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, your voice is breaking, bro, and network is showing up. There's some.
What?
Your voice is breaking again and again.
Even now?
For now, it is okay. I hope it will stay the same.
1 minute, I'll change the network. True, can you display? by the way, Vishal.
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, is it better now? Prabhu, is it better now?
Yes,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, let's recite the verse. Prabhu, a little smaller font, like little zoom out would be, yeah. Panchama Kapilo Nama Siddhesha Kala Viplutam Provacha Suraye Sankhyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam. Okay. Anyone would like to read translation?
The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost.
Yeah. So Lord Kapila is very famous in giving knowledge and detachment, renunciation. So the knowledge which he gave is there in the chapter numbers 25th to 33, the last 9 chapters of third canto. And these chapters are highly celebrated. If you ask the intellectual Bhagavad Kathakars, like those who traditionally speak on Bhagavatam, especially the devotee scholars. So one of the sections they love to speak on is this section called Kapila Shiksha. So like I attended this Bhakti Vaibhav course twice, which is like a in-depth study of first 6 cantos of Bhagavatam. So I have seen actually like there are some sections of Bhagavatam which is like considered a prize, prized. I don't know what they exactly call in like America in that way, but like it said like it's like a gift, it's like a reward given to a good speaker. Okay, I have been asked to speak on that section. It is one of those sections actually, like a prized possession or like a collector's edition. Similarly, like those are real devotee scholars on Bhagavatam. They love to speak on Kapila Shiksha. Now, what is so special about it? Okay. So, Lord Kapila Dev apparently gave Sankhya Yoga, which is basically Jnana. It comes in the Jnana Marga actually. But he did not give the dry Sankhya Yoga. He actually expounded the philosophy of Sankhya. Sankhya means like you do an analytical study of all the elements of material nature. So there are 24 elements in the material nature, including the Supreme Lord. So when you do an analytical study, you break down any element. For example, Sankhya says if you see sweet rice, so if you break down sweet rice into its constitutional components like rice and milk and like like rice, the grain rice, and then milk and maybe sugar or maybe sugar cane actually, and then whatever camphor and other things which you may put in. So they are individually not so attractive in their raw forms, but when you mix them in that certain way and you process them, so then together they constitute what you call as sweet rice, and that is very attractive. So now, similarly, this material world is very, very attractive. Now, when you end up eating sweet rice, uncontrollably, so like you really, pay a price for it, right? So this material world also, when one wants to enjoy it separately from the Lord, okay, in disproportionate ways, out of dharma, eventually he suffers like anything. That is a message of the scriptures. Mhm. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Now, when somebody does adharma and then he earns artha, artha represents wealth. So, if somebody follows dharma and then earns artha, that leads to fulfillment of material desires also, called as kama. And eventually, that fulfillment of material desires, which is rooting from dharma, it leads to moksha, which is desire for liberation from the material world, which comes to a sinless soul. Now, when one begins from adharma and then he earns artha, artha means wealth. So, when I earn wealth, but I am rooted in adharma, let's say I sell liquor and I earn my wealth. So, that is wealth earned not from dharma, but from adharma. It does not lead to kama, which means now that artha I may use to fulfill my desires and I will not feel satisfied. First thing. Second thing, that life will not lead me to desire for liberation or spiritual life. Okay. On the other hand, when you earn wealth, artha, being rooted in dharma, okay, then that wealth, when you utilize that wealth to fulfill your material desires, okay, again, not sinful material desires, so then that leads to kama or satisfaction of body and mind. And that satisfaction is so wonderful, is so sattvic, that eventually it will lead to spiritual attraction, at least desire for liberation. So that's where the person's spiritual life begins. So Varnashrama, on one hand, gives the classification of Varna and Ashrama, gives everyone's duties and all that. And it also gives Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha means how should I how should I lead my life in Dharma, every aspect of my life. It's not just on Sunday mornings I go to church and I do some confession series and then rest of the week like I am breaking all the principles. No. So it's like when I'm rooted in Dharma, in all the aspects of my life, then what happens? Based on that, when I earn Artha, that Artha will fulfill my desires. So, Prabhu, the Vedic concept of wealth is not limited to money. So you see a person with wealth may not have a lot of bank account, may not have a what you call it as net worth. Like Elon Musk may have net worth, or Bill Gates may have. So you may not find a rich Vedic guy having a lot of net worth, like in terms of money, or like he has his own IPO and stock market shares and all. No. Wealth means like he will have land, he will have cows, he will have a lot of satisfaction, he will have a lot of like good health. His relationships will be very good, okay, and his realizations will be very good. So his heart will be oozing out selflessness, which means he's happy. He's not like comparing with others and all that. And he'll have all the necessities of life in abundance. His sons and daughters would love him. His family would be united. He would not die an untimely death. So, and his heart would eventually go towards desire for liberation also in a very positive way. So, the concept of wealth in the Vedic time was a very holistic concept, was a very internal and external concept. Okay. It was not like, okay, whatever be my other parameters of life, if I have a big bank balance or if I have a big net worth, that's it, sir. I am wealthy. No, you are you are called dhanadya, which means you have a lot of, money power, but you may not be wealthy. Mhm. Wealth is a wealth is a totally different concept. Now that's Vedic concept of wealth. Okay. So, and it's a very beautiful concept, believe me. That is why it is called as four purusharthas. Purusha arthas. So any person who is actually a manushya or follower of Manu's dharma, like he's following the dharma of human form of life. So actually, for him, these are the four purusha arthas, which means these four are to be desired. Which means the success of life is progressively like dharma. Then based on dharma, you get artha, and with artha, you fulfill your kama. You know, kama comes from kamana or the desire, any material desire, but within the boundary of scriptural injunctions. So that is called kama, and that will be very deep fulfillment. Actually, person will not be frustrated or no, I want to do like often in movies and all they show up an American guy going to Vegas and all like very passionate and that way like throughout the week work hard and go and like really uh, break it hard on the weekend and all. Like it's not like that actually. It's very fulfilling, like contentment of the heart, and that is a person becomes like you know, I want everyone to be happy. Like I am happy, I am satisfied, and then that leads to a desire for liberation in a very positive way, not in a frustrated way like typical gyanis. And that actually, for a good soul, if he gets the right association, it leads to Pancham Purushartha, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us prema. So Lord Kapila Dev actually came to give that detachment or renunciation, which comes by a theistic analysis of the material world. So usually Gyanis go for a theistic analysis of the material world, which means they remove the factor of God. So without Ishvara, they just like you see even scientists they are also doing analysis of material elements only na. They're breaking down even up to proton, neutron, and I'm not aware of whatever else they have come down to, but so that's a very incomplete and a very atheistic like analysis. You see, one of the science says that we should be open to all the possibilities, and then we should like do experiments and all, and then we should draw conclusions based on observations, right? Now, one of the possibilities is that this material world was created by God indeed, and it is also controlled by God. Okay, and it has a spiritual purpose. This is also one of the possibilities, but they reject it altogether. So this is called atheistic analysis. In the beginning, only I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption that no, God doesn't exist. This material world does not have a ruler ultimately, and we have come here for enjoyment. So these are assumed actually. At the outset itself, these are assumed by the modern scientists, most of them. Sorry, I think I got cut off in the middle. So, yeah, so I was sharing that uh, Kapila Dev, Lord Kapila Dev, the son of Mother Devahuti, he actually came to teach the theistic Sankhya Yoga. Okay, so it seems dry when you read, like even when you read those chapters now. So it is actually really like very technical. At the same time, the conclusions are very beautiful, and the conclusions will ultimately lead to bhakti with much more faith, with reinforced shraddha, because you know he's not, although he's being very honest in analysis, but he's not rooting out God from the picture. Rather, he, in a very neutral way, he just does the analysis and then he brings you to that point. Oh yeah. And then your intelligence is able to say, yes, this makes so much sense to me. So then even when you face ups and downs of life, that is the time philosophy helps you actually. That no, whatever I may feel, whatever others may say, whatever apparently the illusory experience of or the perception of my senses may be, but this is the truth, you know. So your intelligence gets convinced actually, and that is very important. So that is Lord Kapila Dev. And Prabhupada again and again, wherever he mentions Kapila Dev, he writes about, he not only writes about Sankhya Yoga, he also always writes like Lord Kapila Dev, comma, the son of Mother Devahuti. Why does he do so? So of course in India, somebody may say Kapila Dev is actually a cricket champion, na? It's a legend. He's a legend guy. So he won the first World Cup and all. So like actually, initially, some boys, when they come to our classes, they actually think that this Kapila Dev is like, so sometimes the devotee just says, Kapila Dev said. So in India, the only guy named Kapila Dev people know, youngsters know is that guy. 1983 won the World Cup and all. So he's very pretty famous guy. So actually, of course, that's not the reason Prabhupada says. When Prabhupada wrote Kapila Dev, nobody knew actually. He must have been a small boy in some school. Maybe some third grade or something. But actually, what Prabhupada says is that there is one another Kapila Dev, a saint, so-called saint, like a spiritualist, so who also became famous, in some centuries back. And then he wrote atheistic teachings actually. So he was an atheist, and he also wrote interestingly. Uh, I mean, not interestingly, what he called coincidentally, he also wrote Sankhya Yoga, but it was a atheistic one. So Prabhupada always writes, Lord Kapila Dev, the son of Mother Devoti. So that is like the discriminating factor. Yeah. So Lord Kapila Dev also gives like bhakti in 3 modes, and then Shuddha Bhakti, and then bhakti in many, many modes. Okay. And so these are also explained very beautifully in 28, 29 chapter. Lord Kapila Dev also explains about the the grievousness of uh, like Vaishnava aparadh. That if one does Vaishnava aparadh, even the deity of the Supreme Lord does not accept any service. He rejects. So he explains this in 29th chapter, very in a series of verses. That is one series of verses where the Lord is so angry, he doesn't listen only. He just goes on saying superlatives, like one verse after another. So very, very revealing series. Okay? Maybe around 15 verses. Then he also describes in 31st chapter about the ordeal of the jiva in the womb of his mother. So if a jiva actually accepts the body of a zygote, like that small human uh, form in the seed, like when the man wife unite. So after he takes the form of zygote, so Kapila Deva explains all the stages, and then he says that what all prayers he does actually to Paramatma. So it's an entire chapter, like what all he goes through, and then what are his feelings and experiences, and what all prayers he says to Paramatma. Like, of course, later he forgets most of the time. So, like, it's a typical description of a soul, actually, soul's struggle in the material world. And then like in the end, 32 and 33 chapter, they actually gives more of the descriptions of the bhakti in conclusion. In 25th chapter, when he begins answering the questions of Mother Devahuti, who actually is like, although his mother, but she actually is his Shiksha disciple. So Kapila Dev was considered guru of Mother Devahuti, his own mother. So in response to her questions, which were full of frustrations, which were not full of questions about the Supreme Lord, he very wonderfully guides her. So he speaks this beautiful series of verses from 3.25.20 to 3.25 point almost like 30, 32, but especially 3.25.20 to 25. So very, very loved series of verses. So Prabhupada himself quoted 325:20 many times. Prabhupada quoted 325:25 also. Satam prasangam mama viri sambhava bhavan tirukkarna rasayam yajjoshna tajjoshnasho apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramashyati. So she actually asks him to show her the path of liberation. But Kapilada was so wonderful. He answers, he very honestly, very in a very unbiased way, he actually answers the questions of Mother Devotee. And then he encourages her to accept bhakti, not just be satisfied with jnana or liberation. He says that why do you want to be satisfied with just neutral or zero? Okay, today you are in negative bank balance. So you may say, just free me from all the debts. But tomorrow, how will you be happy without anything in life? So he says, let me introduce you to the ocean of positivity. And then he goes on and in a very like systematic and in a very like gradual, very smooth way, not like suddenly haphazard way. In a very smooth way, actually, he takes her towards the path of bhakti and elevates her consciousness. So, and then he describes like what is Shuddha Bhakti and what is Ashuddha Bhakti, what is Bhakti in the three modes. So this is like in nutshell about Lord Kapila there. And Prabhupada actually wrote a separate book. You know, you must have seen that teachings of Lord Kapila there. Yeah. Yeah, Prabhu. So any comments or questions before we go ahead? I just shared what I remembered spontaneously about Lord Kapila there.
Thank you for the nice class.
Sorry?
Hare Krishna. Can you hear?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Nice class. Thank you. Can you give us some understanding of devotional service and the modes of nature? Just some.
Yes, yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you are already practicing such pure devotional service. I'll be just like a typewriter, just sharing some words, information. So, so Lord Kapila Dev describes broadly four categories, and then the subcategories are 81. So the four categories he describes are bhakti in the mode of ignorance, bhakti in the mode of passion, goodness, and pure goodness. So if someone is performing bhakti, uh, like, okay, I don't have anything else to do, and somehow the devotees just approached me, and maybe, okay, the prasad is good, so let me just do it. So he doesn't have a very clear and specific reason, definitely not a spiritual one. In fact, often he has some negative reasons also. So because he's like simply frustrated. So, or sometimes in India, it's like someone just wants to learn good English, so he wants to be with devotees, or so that kind of things one has. Some people even want to go to, like, they want to get a visa to US because somebody just wants to escape like material life or material responsibilities. So say he says, I want to join full time. So these are considered actually reasons or um, objectives to practice devotional service, which is in mode of ignorance. So such devotional service definitely does not satisfy the practitioner, and it does not satisfy the people around him also with his behavior. And it's a very, very slow path of progress um, in one's purification also actually. So it definitely does not experience much devotion, positive devotion towards Krishna. So this is the lowest mode, and above is bhakti in the mode of passion. So bhakti in the mode of passion means like uh, one is looking for like name, fame, or one is looking for a lot of followers, or one is looking to become uh, skilled or accomplished within the association of devotees, or one wants to make many people amazed by one's bhakti knowledge or one's bhakti skills, or one wants to have some ambitious positions like uh, temple president or shiksha guru or Diksha Guru or whatever it may be, or one wants to become like go on the top pedestal, like I want to become a sannyasi or whatever be it. So there are some clear-cut material goals or objectives he has hidden behind his back to Godhead or behind his Vansha Kalpataruvishta tags. So his mentality, uh, is very, very materially colored, totally. So that is called bhakti in the mode of passion because he's looking for some material goals, although they may be totally within the domain of the institution of devotees. Yeah. So it is still good. It is still better than bhakti in the mode of ignorance because he doesn't want to harm anyone else or something like. He just wants to achieve certain things for himself. He just wants to see himself highlighted or whatever. So he may be even often proud. So there is one danger of doing offenses because of passion, but there is one thing that this bhakti also helps elevate him because he does a lot of things. So sometimes even may not be not so wantingly, but he ends up pleasing devotees also because like he's always ready to act and sometimes he does something wonderful for the world. So if one can without offenses go on in the mode of I mean in this form of bhakti in the mode of passion, then it's great. Like sometimes he may end up collecting a lot of funds for the temple and make a new temple, because he wanted to show to everyone, see my zone also or that way. Or sometimes in book description, the scores, and he may amaze everyone and inspire everyone, although he himself may not be in a very great consciousness. But then all over the world, people are like, oh, Prabhu, what a devotee. And or sometimes he may just like be learning so many verses and he may be so skilled like in playing mridangam and all that. Everyone is like, oh, they're just absorbed in kirtan. He may not be absorbed in kirtan of the holy name. He's just absorbed in like somehow playing the mridang very nicely, musically, you know. But within devotional service. But then he may end up actually doing a very good service. So bhakti in the mode of passion, if practiced with precaution under the guidance of devotees and in the association of devotees, then actually one may be able to avoid offenses most of the times, and then one may actually progress very nicely also. So on Ekadashis, he would be like to be in the A category devotees, na? Like, so then that actually helps also, yeah. So this is bhakti in the mode of passion. There's some material objectives, subtle or gross or whatever. Yeah. And the person wants to himself be highlighted. Mhm. Then third is bhakti in the mode of goodness. So bhakti in the mode of goodness is, prominently you will see that person wants to go back to Godhead. That may be one desire. Second is person actually wants to become free from all material miseries. Okay. Third is he wants to put a end to all sinful reactions which might have troubled him in the past. Fourth is he wants to get purified, like his heart, he wants to get purified. That all the anarthas, that is called Kutam. So Kutam and Bijam, all the Rupa Goswami explained that all the tendencies or inclinations um, towards any material uh, sinful activities should itself go away. The inclination or the tendency itself should go away. So that is called purification of the heart. So purification of the heart or purification of karma or desire to go back to Godhead or uh, yeah, these kind of like any desire around this. So these are like very good desires. So these are not exactly material desires, but then they are not exactly Krishna desires also. They are still self-centered. They're not material desires, agreed. But then they are not Krishna centered also. They are self-centered. So that's why they are placed in the mode of goodness. And Prabhupada explained that devotee should try to be at least in this devotional service. Like, try to rise from. Definitely, you should avoid devotional service and ignorance. So he may be in passion in the beginning, but then he should try to come. That so education and training and good association, good examples can bring a person at least to devotional service in the mode of goodness. And here he will not do offenses, he will value devotees. So these are natural symptoms. A devotee in the mode of passion may value devotees if he sees them as not as obstacles in his progress. Otherwise, he may not. But in the when the person is performing devotional service in goodness, so he may see challenges not as others, not as created by others in his life, but he may see those challenges as coming from his own karma actually. Yeah, like that. So also a person in the mode of who's practicing devotions in the mode of goodness, he values guru also very much, in guru's instructions. So these are some symptoms of devotions in the mode of goodness. Then he explains that if one performs devotions in the mode of goodness, then he definitely also is enlightened. So you see, in ignorance, one is not enlightened. He definitely does not go through scriptures, does not hear much. In the mode of passion, he may hear, but is that then the object is more like okay, give, okay, what, give me more. Now this also okay, learn next, just like that kind of thing. But in the mode of goodness, he actually absorbs, he actually understands, So there is enlightenment, and then that raises his bars actually of consciousness. So that is why it is in the goodness. And when it comes to pure goodness, so he's very, very grateful to Krishna. He's not just conscious and enlightened, but now his heart starts crying tears of gratitude and joy towards Krishna. Because he starts realizing that actually I am simply a product of mercy. And now he doesn't even want, he says, who am I to go to spiritual world? Why should I ever be forgiven of all my karmas? And you know, my heart is, it doesn't deserve to be cleansed. So, but then he's just crying that he says that just give me an opportunity to always have association of devotees, because this is the greatest thing I have. Just give me an opportunity to, you know, hear the holy name of the Lord, chant the holy name of the Lord. And for whatever I have received till now, I'm so grateful. I never deserved it. So like when Jagai and Madhai were slapped and even, thrown stones at by people, like after they were transformed, they would pick up those stones and go and give them back. Okay, please, like we actually deserve to be beaten up and thrown into hell forever, actually. But look at us, we were so fortunate that Lord Nityananda gave us devotional service to Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us love of Krishna. Who are we? So actually, it is a state of utter humility and gratitude. And one doesn't want anything because one doesn't see himself fit for anything. So it's like, it's a very great stage actually. Even for a practicing sadhaka, he can perform devotional service in the mode of, pure goodness. Like, so the basic symptom which may be visible, the basic symptoms which may be visible in a in a devotee like who is still a practicing devotee, sadhaka bhakta, but is practicing pure devotional service. So like for him the purpose the purpose of any act in devotional service is the pleasure of Hari Guru Vaishnavas, like Jayanand Prabhu. Somebody asked him about like going back to Godhead. So I heard that he said that, oh, I never thought about it. I was too busy serving Prabhupada and helping and assisting Prabhupada and devotees. But I forgot to consider about my own progress in devotional service. So he was never bothered like, okay, where Krishna will take me or why Krishna is giving me death in just like middle age or something. So he's just happy to, his only objective is to please Guru and Krishna. He only sees himself as a servant of Hari Guru Vaishnavas. Not like I should go to spiritual world. What will I get by this? So he will never do analysis also. Actually, of course, the person has progressed through that, like in an enlightened state. But then now, for him, it is Krishna is in the center, not himself, not his own liberation also. So like that. So that is called, so that such a person can, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he can say, na dhanam, na janam, na sundaram, kavitam va jagdishikame. So till now it is okay. But then mama janmani janmanishwara. This makes it pure devotional service. The first line makes it devotional service in the mode of goodness. But the second line shows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the pure goodness. Because mama janmani janmanishwara bhavata bhakti retu kai. You, Krishna, I don't have any condition upon you that I'll just be your devotee, just take me to spiritual world. No. You do anything with me. You even like disown me also, but I will always be your servant. So these are probably like the broad teachings of the four uh, categories of devotional service Lord Kapila Deva describes in chapter number 29.
There's a joke about a devotional service in the mode of ignorance. Understand
Yeah.
the joke about devotional service in the mode of ignorance? There was one person who was very sinful throughout his life, very sinful. He was going by one temple, and he thought, "Let me go see what's going on there." So he went in the temple, and he thought, "Let me give you a donation." So he gave 100 rupees in the hundi. And he left. And then some years later, he left his body, and the Yamadutas grabbed him, and he said, "Oh, wait, where you taking me? We're taking you to hell. You're sinful. No, I should be going to heaven. No, we checked it out. You're going to hell. No, ask the big guy. No, it says right here, you're sinful. You're going to hell. No, ask the big guy. Ask Yamaraj. Go to Yamaraj." So they go to Yamaraj, and Yamaraj says, "Oh yeah, he's sinful." And then the guy says, "Well, no, you got to check it a little closer." Oh, and they said, "Well, why do you think he got to go to heaven? I gave 100 rupees. I gave 100 rupees. You guys should be going to heaven." And Yamaraj said to the Yamadutas, "Give him his 100 rupees back and tell him to go to hell."
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. So there is one place where it is discussed like how does a devotee see challenges in devotional service? So a devotee practicing devotional service in ignorance, he sees challenges as coming from others, like others are specifically targeting him. So anything happens in his life, he's looking for blaming someone else, and then he catches and maybe he does tit for tat, or so he's in like really in ignorance. Then a person in the mode of passion, he sees it as how could I fail in this? Like so he thinks like he is the doer, so he is the achiever. So like he will set things right and all. He's not so much into like I'll thrash someone else. No, but I'm the best, so I'll fix it. Like. And then someone in the goodness is he sees it as his own karma coming back. So okay, he accepts it. Fine. It's a system and I deserve it. Fine. And the person in the mode of, in Shuddha Bhakti, he sees it as a blessing of Krishna. So he's like ecstatic. He's very, very grateful. Oh, this has come so that actually Krishna is arranging this in my life so that I can become a better devotee. And then he actually sees it like that. Logically also actually. So Krishna becomes very pleased with him. Even if it is coming from his karma, actually, it may not be arranged by Krishna, but then the resultant impact from it is definitely a very good increment in his own devotional service. So yeah, so that is the yeah.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "My greatest happiness is the difficulty I undergo in your devotional service."
So,
Inconceivable.
there is a statement by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur regarding this that the obstacles I face in my devotional service, my dear Lord, are my greatest friends because they actually help me enhance my love for you.
Purify. Yeah.
Yeah. So His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj wrote in his book Beggar series, I think the fourth one, if I'm not wrong. So he says there that these cancer cells are my greatest well-wishers because as they're eating up my body, they are giving me an opportunity to feel what what I never felt by my own efforts. I can now understand that I am not this body. I can now understand that actually everything belongs to Krishna. I can now understand that how short life is. And when I'm speaking to others about Prabhupada's teachings, about practicing devotional service, it is so much going straight into their hearts, and I'm able to serve others like I could never do previously. So he actually is so grateful to. He says that if anyone comes to me and gives me anything, in a trade-off, like says that you give me your cancer cells and I'll give you like the entire material world. No, sir. I've got the most precious thing in life. These cancer cells. So these are sent by Krishna. So this is like ultimate realization. One has what level of gratitude, or so that therefore such a person is called a Jivana Mukta. So in any stage of life, he's always happy. Narayana Parayana. Na Swarga na sorry. Narayana Para Sarve, na Swargam na Punarbhavam. Narayana Parayana, Narayana Para Sarve, na Kutashchana Varga Apavarga Narakasya, Apitulyatha Dashana. Yeah. He says that these, when Mother Parvati cursed Chitraketu, mistaking his words to be like uh, mistaking his words to be like offensive to Shiva. Actually, he was trying to glorify in a little sarcastic way, and that was a friendly comment. But Parvati mistook it as an offense to Shiva, and then she curses him without even giving him a chance to explain himself. And even the other sages and all were not saying anything. So in front of them also it was happening. Were they not enlightened enough to understand whether to discriminate whether it is a joke or an offense? But then Parvati was too agitated, so she just directly curses him. And then he comes down and he's like so grateful and thankful, and he says that, "My dear mother." So he addresses her as a mother, and he actually says, thank you so much." And she's like wondering what happened, did he hear properly or not? Or did I spell it out properly or not? So then Lord Shiva is laughing. So then he actually speaks very beautiful things, Chitraketu, and he goes away. He actually is happy, and he sees it as coming from Krishna's arrangement. And the other sages also see it like that. Shiva also sees it like that. And then Shiva is laughing. So he cannot say to his wife, because she is his wife. So he definitely cannot say like, "You are wrong." I mean, he has to still continue his household life. So he doesn't want to take any chances with his wife. At the same time, he wants to like spell out the truth. So in a very beautiful way, in a very intelligent way, he says this verse. This is the first verse he says. So Prabhupada, I think, I think Vishwanath Chakra Thakur comments. He says that Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, "Oh Devi, so now understood. You know, you saw the effect of your so-called curse on a Vaishnava. Are these people are Vaishnavas. These are Vaishnavas. These are pure devotees of Krishna. Do you think anything affects them? Even if you throw the world's worst curse upon them, they have this shield of pure love for Krishna, pure devotional service, which perfectly reflects back anything negative. They are never to be, they are never to become miserable. Even if you throw down upon them all the difficulties of this world. Why? Because in heaven or hell, in hellish condition or heavenly condition, they always remember the Supreme Lord. Api tulyartha darshana. And in remembering and seeing the Supreme Lord, even the worst condition leads to the best results. Externally, that condition may be there, but the devotee will experience the best love for Krishna only. So, and then he goes on like many verses. This is one of the most celebrated verses of sixth canto. So this is explained by Srila Prabhupada that Chitraketu got such a bad curse actually, but because of his love for Krishna, so love for Krishna is like an element, or like a, they call it like in in chemistry, like they have something like if you mix that, or if you do the reaction in the presence of that element, the reaction goes opposite only actually. It may be supposed to be producing acid, but it may produce base, like opposite of acid. Similarly, when there is humility and love of Krishna, so Lord Shiva says, Parvati, the greatest curse also leads to more and more enhancement of joy or devotional service. And therefore, he will only go closer to Krishna. So you have only helped him. So therefore, for a devotee, Mama Janmani Janmaneshwari, whatever condition of life, just like Kunti Maharani says, Vipada Santu Tashashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatsya Apunar Bhava Darshanam. So such beautiful teachings actually of like Lord Kapila Deva. So I think we should stop here unless there is any comments or questions.
So we can check if online, if we can take one reflection of if online devotees. On Satwat Prabhu, Adinath Vishnu Prabhu, Naveed Prabhu, if you have any reflections.
Anyone propose any questions or comments? Anything you wish to share?
Anything from here?
I want to make a small point, bro. You were saying about how the scientists try to find the smallest particle and so on, but actually the scientists, as they go smaller and smaller, they finally name the smallest particle as the God particle, even though they stick away.
Yeah, good one, bro. Yeah, correct. Because they don't know how else to define it.
They just named it God particle.
God particle.
Prabhu, I have a
You
question.
can't see it? I don't know.
I'm not sure, bro.
The futuristic, they will discover a compound of them.
Prabhu, I have a question. You mentioned in the beginning that we have these four Purusharthas and they lead us to detachment from the material world. And Kapil Dev gives us these details in those chapters. So in beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, we read that words Dharma Projito Kaitavottara Parmo Nirmatsaranam Satam. So Srimad Bhagavatam rejects these four Purusharthas in the beginning.
Yeah.
So how do we understand that Kapil Dev is explaining these four Purusharthas and then leading to fifth Purushartha in Srimad Bhagavatam?
No. Kapil Dev is not teaching this four Purusharthas. What I was trying to share is that Kapil Dev was giving an theistic analysis of the material world. So I was sharing that if someone leads life with dharma, like that was called Varnashram. See, Prabhupada so often writes about Varnashram system. Why does he do so? Because when this, just like today you say businessman. Now see, businessman, when you say, it doesn't always mean Vaishya, Prabhu. So for a businessman to be called as Vaishya, his lifestyle, his values, and his type of his business, they have to be sinless and they have to be within dharma. Then only you can call him Vaishya. Otherwise, like say, there are all these ranches, na? I think what you call them, ranches, like they're all this, where they have all this cattle and then they kill them for meat industry. So that's not called businessman, bro. So business, like Vaishya means he will never go against cow production. Vaishya means he will never serve chemicals like all this Monsanto and all, no? GM, genetically modified food and all. They'll never play with nature like that. Then one will not be opening like McDonald's serving beef or bars serving liquor and all. That's not called business, okay? So what I was trying to say is anybody who lived in Varnashram society or who followed a Varnashram life, so he will have a very bright chance to naturally be inspired for a life of liberation or a life of detachment at the right time. It's like organic growth. Like say you have organic farming. Naturally, you don't have to give like additional spices or chemicals, or like to get sweetness or certain taste in those fruits or vegetables. It will just naturally come. You don't have to do anything additional. On the other hand, when you may have some salad or some vegetables or some fruits like grown unnaturally, and therefore a lot of other cares have to be taken. A lot of other things have to be taken care while processing them so that they become tasty in that. So, so what I was saying is, if people lead a natural varnashram life, sinless life based on principles, they'll be wealthy. When I discuss the concept of wealth, what is wealth? If you're leading a life of dharma and your business ethics are also within the boundary of shastric dharma, then you will naturally see you're very, very materially satisfied. You will now there was no concept of rape there at that time. Why? So people were very satisfied, bro. Even in sex life, they were very satisfied. They would never choose their wife generally. After marriage, they would actually see their wife properly, like physically. And yet they were satisfied. Throughout life, 60, 70, 80 years living with just one partner, never even in mind also getting disturbed. How? Because they're living a life of dharma. It is not just that sexual union. So the other parameters are also interconnected. When they lead such a life of dharma, they naturally, you know, towards the second half of their life, they naturally get desire for liberation. So today you see even devotees sometimes in our Hare Krishna movement, like ISKCON also, till the fag end of their life, they don't want to leave the post of managerial responsibilities. Sometimes, you understand. Na? So actually, if a person leads na Prabhu, life of natural varnashrama, you will see at the right time he will get the right, just like the mango changes the color at the right time. If it is natural, it is organic. Like today we are talking of so much of organic foods and all this. So if the life is like that, very satisfied, and he will naturally come to devotional services. On the other hand, if you see most of the people what they are doing, almost everyone, so we wonder why, like, he has come to old age also, but he doesn't have sen- strength in the senses to do sense gratification. But then he has not retired from it from his mind, isn't it? So why? Because he has not undergone the scientific system of varnashram life. So what Lord Kapiladev gave was would give such people not just liberation, but it would take them to devotional service very easily. So he gave a theistic analysis. So in Varnashram society also, the lifestyle was like Varnashram was a theistic concept of material life, theistic model of material life. Okay, like that. Is it clear now?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
So his mother actually asked him in the 24th, 25th chapter in third canto that please give me, I'm frustrated with this. I'm fed up with this household life actually. I and your father, we did not get satisfied even after doing, they led their grahastha life in all dharma and all. But she said that why are we not satisfied? Like, so I want to get liberation. So she got desire for liberation. Modern man, he will say, maybe I did not do it properly. Maybe I need to get some pills and some sexual toys or something. So see the difference in realization. Because she underwent a life of dharma actually.
Mm.
But on the other hand, like person, he becomes so frustrated, so annoyed, so he becomes so irritating, and he becomes sinful, and he starts like fighting with others. He starts looking for something sinful. So you can clearly see the difference. Like, so Lord Kapila actually uh, he gave teachings for those kind of people, who lead a life of principles and values, and then they'll naturally feel to get detachment, liberation, and then devotional service also. So devotional service one will not get naturally from anything. Devotional service can only be by the mercy of some devotees. Just like Kapaladev gave mercifully his association to his mother, and then she turned from liberation to devotional service. So liberation is the best platform, or goodness is the best platform to turn towards transcendentalism or Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So thank you very much for all of your time and association and inspiring me also, giving me an opportunity to remember Krishna. Since last few days, actually, I've been just traveling in different cities of northern and western India, searching for some stones and some many other elements for with other devotees, for putting in our new temple project. And they're taking me around to get bargains done, like discounts and all. So, so I actually this is the only Bhagavatam class I heard or gave in last 3-4 days. So I'm very grateful and thankful to all of you. I just counting bricks and Hare Krishna.